What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Jess, and you're watching Keto Rewind 1 year later since starting a ketogenic diet and changing my life on February 11th, 2019. So fast forward 1 year later, here we are. So yesterday I did a video on the physical changes after a year of keto. Basically, my measurements, my weight, sizes and clothes, all that stuff. So today I thought I would talk about the emotional side of a keto weight loss journey. Well, I should say any weight loss journey, but in my case, it's a ketogenic weight loss journey. So I wrote some notes, so I'll try to stay on topic because I have a tendency when it gets into the emotional side of weight loss to get a little off topic. I love that side, and it's the part of the journey that I don't think enough people talk about. Everybody wants to focus on the size that you are or how much you weigh. I am like one of the few people that wants to focus on the emotional and mental changes of a weight loss journey because I feel like if you don't fix your head, no matter what you do to lose the weight, it's going to come back because it's not changing like the driver of the game. So anyways, without further ado, let's get started. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below. Okay, so exactly 1 year ago today, I decided to change my life with a ketogenic diet and incorporate intermittent fasting. I was tired of waking up, feeling emotionally, physically, everything just drained, just basically waking up tired after sleeping. Should be ready to go after sleeping, right? I decided I was tired of living a lie and I was tired of hiding from life or from the life that I deserve. I felt like I had no purpose and I was just going through the motions day by day and surviving. I hated the way I looked in the mirror. I hated the way I talked to myself. I just basically hated inside and outside, everything about myself. It was a dark place, and I spent that time. I'm trying to look back when I exactly switched from feeling so good in my younger childhood days to when the switch flipped and I got into this rut. And I'm going to say it happened somewhere between 2002 and 2003. So what is that, 16, 17 years? I felt this way. And that's no place to spend that amount of time. But that's when I started packing on the pounds. I was like around a sophomore in college. So, but anyways, we spend so much of our time trying to fit into somebody else's ideal of what you should look like that we forget along the way that you have your own body and your own life. Like you're trying to fit into this other person's imagination of what's perfect or ideal. And then meanwhile, you waste this perfectly good body that you're in, that you have, and you spend it wanting somebody else's. It's like a never-ending cycle. It just goes on and on, like you're never enough or you need more and it's just this like emotional thing that eats at you day by day. And then that causes people like me who are emotional eaters to eat because, food fixes everything, right? Well, that way of thinking got me to 309 pounds. That got me I had to get to 309 pounds to pump the brakes and say enough's enough. It wasn't a way to enjoy the life that I was given. It wasn't a way for me to live my full potential. I didn't want to wake up tired and miserable and just self-loathing and achy and unsettled for the whole day. Like, I just didn't want to do that for another single day. I wanted my kids to look at me and see a signature of strength, inspiration, Wonder Woman. And I wasn't feeling like my kids felt that way about me. I wanted to have the success that my husband had with his own weight loss journey and being able to keep it off and fighting it every day and living his best life. Like, I wanted that too. So enough was enough. I decided to do my research and learn everything I possibly could about the ketogenic way of living, the ketogenic lifestyle, and I made a plan. So remind you, it wasn't January 1st. Like I spent like a month and a half until I actually pulled the plug and started doing this lifestyle. Like I was prepared. I did everything I needed to know. And then I did it when I was ready. So enough was enough. And I vowed that I would never spend my life wasting it away on trying to live somebody else's and being happy with the skin I was in and living that life that I was in. And changing that desire to constantly seek pleasure, but instead to seek happiness. Like, I feel like pleasure was always like, it's never enough. You always want more. You always want more. I feel like you can be happy for in any amount of time. Like, I feel like there's no cap on happiness, but there is a cap on pleasure because that pleasure is temporary. And then you got to seek it again. So anyways, I realized I need to stop comparing myself with others and I need to realize my own self-worth. And that means I had to love the skin I was in. That needs to be, I embraced everything I didn't like about myself and learned how to talk to myself in a much more kind and loving way. I also needed to stop saying once I get to my goal weight, I would do X, Y, Z. You can't say that. Like, why does it matter if you're your goal weight? How come you can't do those things now? Like that whole, if you don't learn how to talk to yourself or live in what you have now, when you get to your goal weight, your head's not going to be fixed. So you're probably going to gain all the weight back. And I knew that if I was going to lose this weight, I was going to get to my goal weight no matter what, at all costs. And this way, when I got to my goal weight, I was going to truly be happy with myself and achieve the happiness goal that I wanted to achieve. So then the next thing I want to talk about is what did I gain in the past year? Everybody wants to talk about what did you lose? Well, that's kind of obvious, but what did you gain or what did I gain after a year of a ketogenic lifestyle, a year of digging in deep to the emotional side of weight loss? So the first thing and the most obvious thing, if you follow me, I gained my self-confidence back. I discovered my strength. I discovered that if I gave myself a challenge, I was going to complete that challenge and nothing was going to stop or stand in my way of getting there. I rediscovered my self-respect and my self-love. And that's a big one. I didn't have respect for myself. If I could talk to myself that way, I didn't have respect for myself. Without respect, you have nothing. And I certainly didn't love myself. So how would I expect to ever love myself if I couldn't love myself then? Like how? It's impossible. So I needed to love myself. That's the body I was given. This is it, My passion for life came back. I lived a lie. I lived hiding. I had no passion for life. And that's uncharacteristic for my personality. I love to live life. And then I went from that to somebody who was like a hermit. Like that was not me. My body positivity came back. I used to nitpick every single thing about myself, that I had curly hair, that my hair was brown, and even though I was born blonde, it switched to brown, and I'm apple shaped, I'm tall. I nitpick everything about myself. Instead, I love every single thing about myself. It's what makes me me. And that's what makes me special because nobody else can be me. So my whole body positivity took a big shift. Control. I gained control back. I now, if you put a cupcake in front of me, I can control myself around the cupcake. Normally, I would scarf that sucker down so fast. Like, I gained control back. I took control back. And I applied it to my whole outlook on life. I discovered a hate, and I'm saying hate, for sugar. I have hate for sugar now after a year. I realized what sugar did to me, what I allowed sugar to do to me. And it's a level of hate and anger that has taken me a year to work through and be in a better place. But I have an absolute hate for sugar and the products that are forced in front of our faces from big food companies and the medical industry and the doctors, and like it created a whole nother can of worms that I spend so much time researching and reading about and learning and how to prevent it and taking that self control back to not let the sugar control me anymore. I gained a purpose. I never thought in a million years, again, low self-esteem, I never thought in a million years anybody would follow my journey, who could be inspired by my journey, who could learn from me. So when I first started the journey, I had a goal of like 100 people to follow me. Who would have thought, like through this journey, I have a ton of people that follow me now. And I truly feel like we're all in this together, and this is something great that we're doing together. And I feel like I do deserve the following that I've created because, again, I'm learning to love myself again. I'm doing good things here, So it's like this whole thing where I feel like my purpose now is to help people like the old me get it back together and start living life again. I also learned how to be honest with myself. If you watch, I'm a fan of the show 600 Pound Life, and Dr. Now, the doctor or the physician that treats these patients that are 600 plus pounds, he always says the scale doesn't lie. And it's true. Part of the thing that I had to do on this channel was to admit when I screwed up, when I indulged, when I fell off the wagon. I had to admit it. If I gained weight, I showed the weight gain on this channel. And by embracing that, accepting that part of the journey, that allowed me to not just use those few times to just throw it all away. I learned how to keep going after I would make a mistake. And that got me to where I am today. Before, if I screwed up, I'd be like, well, that's it. Might as well just eat all the carbs, like just throw in the towel. Now I don't do that. If something happens, it's going to happen. It will never not happen. It's life. I find myself still like moving forward, not dwelling on it. So I'm being honest with myself and accepting that I'm not perfect. Things are going to happen. It allowed me to be like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Bless and release, move on, And then I also, along those lines, I accepted there's no such thing as perfection. Every freaking hater, everything I've encountered on this channel with everybody trying to tell me how wrong I am or how I'm still fat or, like nobody's perfect. And I know that nobody's perfect. So it's like, whatever. So anyways, what did I lose in the past year? As funny as it sounds, my list for what did I gain was massive. My list for what did I lose is pretty small. Obviously, I lost weight, lost inches, because that's the physical changes of weight loss. But the best thing, I lost my toxic relationship with food, or also known as my best friend, sugar. I finally, it was a relationship that I considered like an abusive relationship because I felt like sugar was just like that. We had our ups, we had our downs, we had our ups, we had our downs. My sugar, AKA my best friend, was there for me in all times of celebrations, depression, feeling good, feeling bad, being stressed. Like my sugar was my comfort. It was my best friend. And when you spend 16 to 18 years with, actually my whole life, because I never didn't eat sugar in my growing up, but I'm saying like when my morbidly obese days, 16 to 17 years of this, when you take that person out of your life, that is a massive hole to fill. I felt like I walked around like a lost puppy for so long while I figured out how to live again. So what did I lose? I lost that. And that was crucial into this journey. I lost my relationship with the toxic inner critic, the self, the self, just that self-doubt, that inner critic that always will be that thing on your shoulder that says, hey, you can't do it. I lost that person. I lost that inner critic. I don't look to that anymore and use that. You know, I feel like you will probably always have an inner critic, but my inner critic, I beat around, and now my inner critic doesn't talk to me like it used to. I lost my shame. I was so shamed for being, or embarrassed for being so morbidly obese. 309 pounds. That's a lot. And I lost the shame that came with that. You know what? That's my story. That chapter was part of my life. I'm not shame. I don't feel shame for that anymore. I feel sad that I took so long to overcome it, but I don't feel the shame of being morbidly obese anymore. And I felt so shamed for being morbidly obese. And I lost the negativity about myself. I don't care what anybody could possibly say to me that would be negative, or myself. Nothing can compare to how I could tear myself up. The worst comment on my YouTube channel possible couldn't even touch what I could do to myself. So being losing that negativity, that level of negativity, was amazing for my self growth again. So let's go over months. In the past 12 months, I separated into 3 sections and what I did to lose the weight on a ketogenic diet. So months 1 through 6, obviously month 1 was really hard. Wow, was that hard? And there's no way to say that other than it was the hardest month ever. But I stuck with it. I stayed consistent, and I just remembered why. Why am I doing this the whole month? So month 1 through 6, I didn't do any exercise other than the normal stuff I would do. I walked to a park, with my kids, no exercise. It was all diet. It was all learning that part of the lifestyle. So I was super strict on keto. I had rare occasions where I would cheat or go off plan or, very minimal. So obviously the weight loss at the beginning was much more significant than it is in the recent months now. But so I went kind of a more balls to the wall approach, but I felt like you have to do it that way. You have to know you. And I knew I needed to go all in, and I needed to just ground and pound, So, but that's me, and that's what worked for me. And I did a lot of intermittent fasting in the beginning, a lot. And that was to help control my head. So months 7 through 9, basically the summer leading into the fall, I was strict, but not super strict anymore. I allowed a little bit of grace. The weight loss slowed as a result because it's all right. I did lots of intermittent fasting, but the one thing I did start was I started going to the gym regularly. And that was to tighten up muscles, to help with the skin, to relieve stress. You're another thing. All the fasting said, well, I still have the stress. How do you get rid of it? Well, I started going to the gym. And I had the confidence now with myself to be the fattest one in the gym and go, I always was I let that scare me off before. I didn't want to be the fat girl. I just got over that. And I started going to the gym. Because we all start somewhere. And then months 10 through 12, I had the scale is a lot slower. I'm fighting for every pound at this point, but it's natural in this point of my journey to have the weight be harder to lose. So, I've been working on finding a balance with, I'm trying to find the healthy balance between eating without the extremes while still enjoying life. I feel like me as a person, I need to know my boundaries. I need to know what situations to put myself in, that I can control it, social settings, stuff like that. So this is part of when you get to your goal weight, how do you maintain the lifestyle? So I thought I would start adding back in a little bit of extra. So on the weekends, I give myself way more wiggle room, but during the week, I'm pretty strict during the week. So finding that balance where you're feeling like you're living life, but at the same time, you're still have goals to hit. So, and then you got to know who you are, and you got to keep those boundaries. Don't set yourself up for failure. If you're going to start losing weight and it's month 1, don't plan a vacation in month 1. You're going to fail. So you've got to be smart with your strategy. And with all that, so here's some tips. Integrity momentum. If you're not sure what that is, essentially you're making small, achievable goals that build on each other. So, like for instance, I have to lose 140 pounds. I've lost 103 pounds. So that means I didn't say the first month I was going to lose 103 pounds. Like, that seems impossible. Like, who would even try? I know there's some diets out there that you can do that. But for me, that seemed like, whoa. So what I decided to do is make monthly goals. Aim for 10 to 15 pounds a month. When I was morbidly obese, that was easy to do. Now I don't expect myself to do 10 to 15 a month. I aim for 10, small momentum goals. And if you're just starting, I would say make it through the day without cheating. Make it through a whole day of eating keto. Then make it through 2 days of eating keto. And then, build on that, a whole week of eating keto, a whole month of keto, and build on those goals. And that's integrity momentum. Now, here's a quote that I enjoy. And not everybody can be skinny, but everybody can be strong. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so genetics. I am 5'8". I have a muscular build. I'm larger boned. I just know me. I could never be 100 pounds as I am without working my tail off and starving myself and going to extremes. I can never be that skinny. It's just not physically possible. But I can be strong. I can have that inner strength to say no, to say enough's enough, to stick with something, to find that strength in those moments of adversity. Everybody has that. But you can't compare yourself to somebody who's 5 feet tall, that weighs 100 pounds. I'm just never going to be that. I'm 5'8". I can't be 100 pounds, just as if they're 309 pounds equally, that takes a lot of eating for someone that small to get that big, genetic wise, body shapes, we're all different, and it's okay. It's okay. And that was a hard part to swallow. I'm never going to be a size 2. I can't, plus I don't want to be, but that doesn't mean somebody who else is a size 2 is any more or less. We're all different, and we gotta, you do you. So I stopped looking at everybody else, and I stayed in my own lane, and I'm loving the skin I'm in. I accept where I'm at in my life. I'm cool with being curvy, so then the most favorite quote that I love, put it here on the screen. Time's going to pass. Essentially, time's going to pass anyways. You can spend that time creating the life you want to live, or you can spend your time living the life you don't want. The choice is yours. What do you want to be? Do you want to waste your life trying to be somebody else in somebody else's dream of what somebody else thinks is perfect? Or do you want to live the life you deserve? The one that you find fun and encouraging and inspiring? You can live it either way, but the time is going to pass anyway. So like me, I waited until 2019 to change my life. I spent so much time wasted living that way, and then hiding from life and thinking I'm not enough. That's a huge part of your life to miss out on. So, yeah. And then the next part that I love, when people ask me, when you get to your goal weight, are you going to stay keto? Yeah, you bet your butt I'm going to stay keto. This is my lifestyle. I didn't change this to go back to the way that got me 309 pounds. I do not want to spend a single day being 309 pounds ever again. This is my lifestyle. This is the new me. And I embrace and I support, and I'm not going to say I would never have like a nacho chip or something at a Mexican restaurant. I'm not going to say that. But I'm not going to spend every time I go out eating Mexican chips and, not caring about my health. Like I'll have those days randomly. They'll happen with life. But myself will be 99% of the time a ketogenic carnivore lifestyle. Because and plus I enjoy it. I love eating this way now. And then who do you miss more? That sugar? Or I should say, I get asked, do you still miss the sugar? Yeah, way more than I'd even want to admit. But I miss the sugar every single day. I'm an addict. I am a sugar addict, food addict, and there will never be a day that I don't miss the sugar. But I miss who I am now way more. And that's what makes picking one or the other an easy choice. I missed the old Jess, the Jess that grew up full of life. And I got back to her. We had a little bit of a holiday. I mean, yeah, 18 years was a long holiday, but I'm back. And I miss that girl way more than the pleasure of eating for 10 minutes any day. Because I get to be Jess all day. And that's happiness for me. Versus that one scoop of ice cream loaded with sugar. I'm going to swallow it and I'm going to want more sugar. I don't want more Jess. I'm happy with the Jess that's here. Like it's the happiness versus the pleasure. They're different. Happiness has no time limit. Pleasure does. So being addicted to sugar and carbs was emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausting. I lived with a false impression that I loved the sugary foods with all of my heart and nothing else mattered. I ignored all the red flags like my expanding waistline, my choice to hide from life, my choice to turn down people because they'd know I got fat. Like if we wanted to go hang out, I would turn them down because then they'd know I got fat. I would shop online so I wouldn't have to go in the store and show people how big I was and, and try on clothes and probably have nothing fit. And like as my health declined and all the red flags were there, I still didn't care. I stayed in this relationship with sugar because it was so easy to excuse away being morbidly obese. I was a busy mom. I'm a wife, keeping up with a house, running, work. It was so easy I could get away with it. Like nobody cared that I got huge. Because you can justify, oh, she's a busy mom. She had 2 kids back to back. That's tough. Always on the go with the kids. She doesn't have time. It's wrong. So wrong. So confessing my relationship on this with food and like confessing my relationship and admitting that I was a sugar addict and a food addict, a binge eater. I got 309 pounds. All the things that I confessed on this channel allowed me to own it. And at that point, once you own it and you're honest with yourself, you identified the problem, only at that point can you fix it. So basically, it's been an emotional roller coaster for the past year. I learned so much about myself. I feel like I study myself now. I notice what makes me do the things that I do now, and I find a way to fix it or encourage that habit, and I didn't really ever care about myself. And once you start caring, once you stop loving the skin you're in, once you stop comparing yourself to everybody else, at that time is when self-growth happens. And I feel like, yeah, I lost 103 pounds in a year. That was significant. But what I really gained in the past year was so much more. And it's priceless. And it's the part of the journey that nobody wants to talk about. So looking forward into Keto Rewind, the future of my channel, we're going to talk a lot about the mental side of things. And yeah, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. But dang, I lost 103 pounds. I lived the life for 140 pounds overweight for a significant amount of years. I truly was morbidly obese and I learned how to fix it. We're going to talk about that. And everybody else that wants to say you can lose weight this fast, blah, 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 really quick and misses this, or they'll just show a before and after with no real methods on how they got there. That's fine and all, if that's your cup of tea. But if you want to learn about the mental sides of weight loss, the impact of the mind on your choices, your daily living, that's what my channel is going to be about going forward. So yeah, I hope you found parts of this video enjoyable. I hope that I didn't lose you along the way. I know it's long and I'm sorry, but it's hard to sum up everything that happened in a year in one YouTube video. So that's why we're going to continue talking more in the future. But for now, I'm going to enjoy my new, drop my microphone here. I'm going to enjoy my new size 12 jeans. Yeah, that actually have room. My new size 12 jeans that I got on Amazon, and my new sweater, and my new life. And I'm going to see you here at the next video. I'm Jess, and you're watching Keto Rewind. If you want this outfit, links are below.